All right, good afternoon, everyone. Joined by a couple guests here. We have Adam from the call center, as well as Wally Conway, one of our call center clients, and probably the one that best utilizes, exploits even our call center staff. And Adam Davis, his co-manager with Chris Higginbotham, and he's a former Abercrombie and Fitch model. Yes, that's
Yep.
true. That's a fact. And we have an employee entrance, and tell everybody I'm telling the truth here. There's an employee entrance for our main call center building, and right when you walk in, there's a window, and what do you see through the window, Adam?
Oh, you see me, of course.
Yes, exactly.
No.
And we find that's very pleasant for all of our staff members. All of them. Trust me. So, Adam, I'm going to get to you in a few minutes, but I want to start off by telling people what we've done over the last few months as it pertains to integrations, because we have a very special integration announcement today. And I'll start with 3D. They were one of the first software platforms out there in the industry to integrate with Recall Check. One of the first to integrate with Next Inspect as well. Always, open to integrating with other parties, as we are. We're of course integrated with our own call center. That makes sense. But then the home inspections app, Inspector Media, Priority Lab, if you're doing any mold or environmental testing, it's all integrated into one system. Recall Check, of course, the email marketing platform, Applica, uh, the review service. She and Thompson's probably the best reviewed review service out there. Blip, uh, Home Inspector Tech. Our Breeze radon monitors are perfectly integrated into the system. And then other inspection software platforms like Spectacular and Horizon. And we even integrate directly with the We'll Buy Your Home Back guarantee from Internachi. And then bigger companies like QuickBooks Online to make your business easier to run. Today, we have a very special integration that we're announcing, and this is exclusive for call center users. But we have integrated Next Inspect with Spectora. So I'm going to start with Adam on some common onboarding questions, because this is what inspectors ask on their way in, and then we'll get into complicated stuff with me and Wally on how best to utilize your call center team. So let's start with those common onboarding questions. The first one, Adam, hold times. That's the big question. I mean, if you're an inspector and you're answering your phone now for yourself, you know how long it takes you to answer the phone. When they switch to us, how long does it take us to answer the phone?
Yeah. So typically the whole time what we see from when it hits our system, which is an important part of this, when it hits our system, usually about 30 seconds until you're going to reach a live operator.
Perfect. And now let's talk about that for a second. I just noticed that I neglected to turn my video on. Sorry, I know you all want to see my face as well. So this hello. So on this issue of hold times, there's something really important behind this, and Adam and I were just discussing this this last week, where the best scenarios for your business, depending on how many staff members you have, how many inspectors you have. So when we look at all of our clients in the call center and we go, who's utilizing this the best? Who's having the best experience in the one man shop arena? Okay, so if it's just you, that's what you want. That's your business model. It's just you and a truck, and you're going to make inspections happen, and you don't want a lot of employees. That's perfectly fine. We respect it. The best way for you to utilize a call center is a simple rollover in that scenario. So you take the calls if you want to, and when you don't want to, the system just simply rolls over. And that percentage of business that rolls over to a call center could be 10%, it could be 5%, it could be as high as 50 or 60%, just depends on how much you love answering your own phone calls. By the time we get to a 2 to 5 man operation, the best results tend to come from those that send us about half of their calls. So as opposed to some call centers that, want to take full time, and certainly, I understand the business model. There's a profit motivation there. It is uh, worth mentioning that most of our call center clients are part time. They roll over to us just when they need us. So on a 2 to 5 man operation, let's talk about that hold time in terms of functionally how it works. Call comes to your inspection company, and then what happens, Adam?
So then they can roll over to us, and we can handle their calls in any way necessary from there.
Well, sure. I guess let me be more specific.
Sure.
So, how long does it ring at the inspector's operation before it would go over to our call center, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So, well, actually, it's entirely up to them. So they can set it up in any way they would like, whether it be it coming over to us directly, ringing to them twice. After, it would typically hit a voicemail on their end, and then you can set it up to come over to us as well. So that time can vary anywhere between, maybe 10 to even 45 seconds before it even rolls over to us.
Right. And then once it comes over to us, answer it almost immediately. So let's talk about VIP agents, because if you have a 2 to 5 man operation, um, that means that there are agents that worked with you when it was just you, and they want you, and they sometimes they just want to talk to you. So what's that transition like for guys once they hand over their phone?
Well, yeah, obviously you want to be able to focus on what you're best at, which is, inspecting the home, writing the report, marketing your business. So at some point you do have to delegate as far as handling that, handling your calls. You can't do it forever. So it's part of growth. Handing those things off is just a natural thing. But you also, like I mentioned, you have the opportunity to handle your own calls if you wanted to, based on your forwarding. So if there is specific people that you want to talk to, you can set up your calls to forward in that way. We're not restrictive in any way. You can forward the way that you want to, that fits your business best.
Well, let's skip the cost just for a second, because most on this call are in that 2 to 5 man operation.
Right.
Um, and then most in that 2 to 5 man operation that have a wonderful call center experience are utilizing it regularly. You can't give us one call a month and expect us to be really good at answering your calls, right?
Exactly.
So in that 50% range, and that means they're taking 50% of their own calls, and with usually one office person or one administrator. Sometimes it's a family member or a spouse that's involved in the business. At that point, what does the typical bill look like? I happen to know the answer to this. I'm just wondering what you might say, Adam.
So, as far as, I don't know, you want to go ahead and give us your guess and I'll go from there?
All right. So it's really simple. You take two inspectors as an
Sure.
example, doing 40 to 50 inspections a month. That's 150% of that 50 times 20 to $25 is in the $1,000 to $1,100 range, plus a small base fee. So we're talking about under $1,400 a month, and you sound like you have an office staff of 8 to 10.
Right.
Yep, very well. All right. So next thing, and this is a big one, is that loss of personal touch. You've onboarded, since you and Chris have come on online with us and been promoted to managers of the call center. Between the two of you, you guys have onboarded over 200 companies.
Right.
Out of those 200 companies, how many of them lose clients because they are less personal now?
I mean, very few, if any. I think people are very surprised in what the results happen. What you see is, I mean, you think this is what's happening, but you know, we care over here. I can't tell you the staff that we have. They genuinely care about the people that they're talking to. You might find that surprising, but getting to know the people that we've hired, it's awesome.
Well, I've had inspectors call me and send me a text message with a picture of a gift that was delivered to their
Right.
office for their office staff member who's in Carmel, Indiana.
Oh yeah.
So the client just didn't know it. So let's just touch on a couple of other things really quick here. That upselling and staff knowledge on radon and termite and mold. I think a lot of inspectors think that that they're really good at upselling on those. We have kind of a two-sided approach to this. And for some of our inspection companies, they don't want us to offer any additional ancillaries on the call, and they tell us that. And then they let an email sequence do the selling. You can do that, or you can just have us do the selling on the front end. How do we do compared to an inspector's internal staff, the ones that are working at their office, Adam?
They're very similar, actually. In some situations, they do outperform, and in some situations, we outperform them. So it varies from case to case, but they're very close to each other.
Now, some are going to watch this and the recording and the YouTube from this that I'm going to post here in a little while, and they're going to say, "Well, gosh, interesting timing for Nathan to be expanding. We have added." In this last year, an additional office location about 10 miles away. You're familiar with that as well, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And just Friday, we looked at an additional 6,000 square feet. And coincidentally, I've had my eye on this building for about a year now. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger yet, but I really like this place in the call center business because of the complete lack of a regional flair to your voice. And this building happens to be in Overland Park, Kansas. So we'll see if our next office is there. Wally, I have unmuted you because I consider you to be the expert in exploiting the call center for the good of your business. And I'm not sure that was always the case. I think we started off a little rough. Give us some background and make it so some of the inspectors here today, a lot of friends of ours, don't have to learn the same lessons.
Well, I think like everyone else, I came up in the inspection business with the idea that no one could answer my phone better than me. And as I studied that, I haven't answered the phone in a dozen years now personally, but as I really watched that, I think the reason it appears that an individual inspector can answer the phone better than another person is the individual inspector is willing to make compromises on the phone that staff won't. So if you get beat up, you get badgered, you go, oh yeah, we can do that, or you squeeze things in where it doesn't really fit. And it gives a fictitious sense of doing a better job. And the cost of doing that better job, even though it's fictitious, is really lifestyle. You cannot be taking care of a customer if you're answering the phone. You cannot be snuggling with your wife if you're answering the phone. You can't be pounding down beer skis with your buddy if you're answering the phone. And unless and until you just sit and say, you know what, I'm going to relinquish the phone, the probability of growing a business is very, very small. The call center for us, and by the way, I got to give shout out to Adam and Chris, and I'm a green team guy. They're extraordinary. They bend over backwards to beat us, not beat us up, but beat us in close rate. There are months, and we actually track it on a weekly basis, and Ryan from my staff and Adam have these conversations routinely. Some weeks they're better than us. Some weeks they're worse than us. Overall, we're marginally better than they are. And if, quite frankly, if we weren't marginally better than they are, we would fire our entire call staff and go exclusive, but we haven't. For me, the way to get a call center, in this case, Adam and his gang, how to get them as close as humanly possible to your own performance, and ideally better, is to listen to them. Adam and the team have probably what, Adam, 200 clients, 300 clients, different companies?
Right around 300 now.
And in those 300 clients, Adam is tracking performance. And if they've got, this green team is my team, and if they see a variance in how the close rate is between companies, It isn't the team. It's some variable inside of that business. And when we realize that in working with the call center, because they track data and we track data, we adjusted information that we put into the system. We changed ISN. We've changed some pricing models. We've changed scripting to sit and say, okay, Adam, based on best practice of 300 companies, getting the highest possible close rate, the largest amount of ancillary sales, and what ultimately comes down to is net dollars. What are the things that we're doing that are impeding your staff from making us more money? And that's what it comes down to. And I made that mistake early on of attempting to ram the Wally way up Adam's ass, and it didn't work. It didn't work because we had things that were too complex. And by just stepping back and listening and taking the input, not to say we relinquish total control, we don't make decisions here anymore, but collaboratively sorting out the best way to book the largest amount of business at the highest possible dollar has put us as a team, and it's a team that's my internal staff and Adam's staff collaboratively doing the same with the same agenda.
I don't want to get too far ahead of where most people are on the call because I haven't looked through the list. I just made this Zoom open to everybody that happened to see my Facebook profile post in the last 24 hours. But I have an inspector that asked me a question. I think it was a couple hours ago in a Facebook direct message, and he's on the call. Let me see if I can get him unmuted. And 1 second, because he has not used our call center yet, and we'll start there. He had a good one. Chris, I've sent you an unmute request, so there you go. Looks like you are on. Can we hear you?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you fine. So you asked the question about things that were unique to your area.
Yeah, so being a rural company, we drive. Our drive times are not based on traffic and so forth. It's just straight up drive times, and we have an hour bubble all around us. And I'm sure that's not unique in this industry, obviously. But my concern is for me using the call center was how does that work when you have a call center person sitting in an office in Indiana that doesn't know my area at all. They don't know the nuances of back roads, dirt roads. I mean, we have a lot of unique areas we go to. We have a car as our primary vehicle, but there are times that we have to jump into the truck because there's areas we can't get to depending on where those inspections are. And so all those little nuances. And then if you're inspecting way over here, an hour and 10 minutes this direction to the east, we got to make sure that we don't have another inspection that's 30 minutes to the west of our base of operations, because that's an hour and 45, almost 2-hour drive. So all those unique things as far as scheduling out an inspection makes me really nervous about turning that over, because one wrong move and I've got inspectors that are going in different directions and that it doesn't work. And then I've got to call, the agent and, because I've made that mistake and I know the area well. So those were my concerns.
Well, Adam, out of the 300 plus inspection companies that you've managed to impress in the largest call center in the industry, I'm assuming all of them have exactly the same kind of drive times, packages, pricing, etc., and that we've never dealt with an exceptional company like Chris Cochran's before.
No, yeah, every single one of them has those kind of drive times and restrictions. It's not anything new to us. I mean, we've been working with those for every company we work with. I would say that's a pretty big concern for each one.
And we have some that are like way out in the sticks. I mean, we have people that are driving into what are those mountains in Pennsylvania? the ones I'm talking about.
Sure.
Poconos.
The Poconos. That's
Okay.
right. We got inspectors up in the Poconos. I mean, that's some weird drive time. It can look on a map like you're 10 miles away, but you're really like an hour drive away. So that's not really too much of a concern. But here's what I would say to you, Chris, because I think a lot of people have, when they're first thinking about doing this, they go, yeah, I don't want to take the calls, but man, they could really muck it up. So here's the worst case scenario. Again, you're in that 1-man to 5-man shop arena. So, it's not that you're going to send 100% of your calls over to us. And at the scale where you're at and the volume where you're at, you have the capability to personally at this point, and you should see every appointment that comes in. And we can automate the system to report to you as they come in. You can see them. You can make sure that the timing works. And then you just reply to us. Don't go and fix all the problems. Reply to us and say, hey, this one is 30 minutes too close. This one is, it needs to be nudged an hour. This one can't even be on that day for this reason. And what it does is it gives us the ability to go and fix our mistakes. I say our mistakes, it's really just not knowing, but it gives us the ability to keep getting that knowledge base higher about your company. Does that make sense to you, Adam? I mean, that's what I see in our system. What happens? We keep adding notes based on these kind of experiences.
Oh yeah, we can't fix what we don't know. It needs to be fixed. So.
Yep, absolutely. Well, so I'm going to go over to Tony Burke for a moment. I have unmuted you, sir. Tony, you with us? Looks like you're in Disney World.
As always, can you hear me?
Yeah, no surprise.
Okay. Hey, Nathan, I've been with America's Call Center for about 8 years, since 2012 or 2013. And of course, there was some big news yesterday about porch buying ACC. Home inspectors do not like a lot of change, and I'm just kind of curious, what's your thoughts? Should we be concerned or anything about this?
Well, there was something that they posted on their website, kind of a letter to clients from Paul Zach, who I understand is going to be around for a few years. Okay, so that's pretty typical. I know Paul well. I've known Paul for a long time. I helped him straighten out his sexuality issues. No, that's a joke. Okay, nobody can sue me for that. No, I like Paul. We joke around a bit, and I know that he would sooner abandon any sort of business deal. Okay, let's call it what it is. There's a deal where somebody gets a check, and I hope he got a big one and he deserves it. But he would sooner not do that business deal than not make sure that you'd be taken care of, right? I mean, if tomorrow you sold your business for $50 million, it really doesn't matter what the number is, as long as it's at or above your number. You would do it if you knew that the clients were going to be taken care of, and if you knew that they wouldn't be, like if you had a real big concern that they wouldn't be taken care of, you wouldn't sell. And I know that that's the kind of person you are. I know that's the kind of person Paul Zach is. Now, here's the great news. You can have 2 call centers. So why not? At the very minimum, if you have the potential trust issue, if you have the concern that there's going to be a change that's going to adversely affect your business, then get the backup call center put in place. Because if I'm not mistaken, you're full time with America's Call Center.
Yes.
Right. So that's their model with a lot of their clients. And, for a lot of reasons, it's, it makes sense. I'll tell you, if we were full-time requirement with all of our 300 plus companies, it'd be a much, more profitable business. This is not a very big profit center for us. It's a service thing for our clients, really. I get why they do it, but you can hire us as your backup to them. And you can do that now. You can do a very soft approach to a transition, a soft open. And then if you ever have that need to change, you can do it. That makes sense?
That's what we're actually doing right now. So we're actually going to be, I've been working with Chris, I've been working with Adam, but Drew, and I think we're going to be doing the rollover probably starting next week, I hope. So.
Well, there you go. I think that's a great approach. It's a reasonable approach. It's not a, oh my gosh, freak out, something happened kind of thing. And it's just going to be better for your business overall. So I see another question We have some of the worst traffic in the US and you guys nail it. So John Foley, thank you for the testimonial there. I think it might have gone to just me, but could have put that out to everybody. He deals with bad traffic, and it's not just rural area. It's good luck getting through 10 miles worth of traffic where he's at, and we make the adjustments in the schedule. So there's your answer, Chris. Whether it's 100 miles of wilderness or 10 miles of horror traffic, it's the same thing. Got another one. A lot of my realtors text me about needing an inspection. How do you navigate that? And also, should I get another phone number for a personal number to help with that? Adam, I know we deal with this. So I know how I deal with it.
Any
How do
text
most
messages?
guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
any text messages that come in, you can forward them directly to us. We can take care of those as far as giving them a call back or anything like that. That's very typical. We see that all the time. Navigating, let's see, needing another phone number. So you can. A lot of people, they do have a second business line. As far as your personal calls and things like that, we'll talk to them, send them a message, let them know that, hey, your wife called or anything like that. And it is a good idea to try to get a line dedicated to a business, but it's not required.
Okay. So I have a couple of things to say about this one. It is pretty usual for our clients to text us, because you have a text number for the team leads that they can screenshot something from an agent and say, deal with this, right? It's just like having an office staff. So use them as your office staff. So now I'm going back to Wally. How often in a day does your staff and our staff here, communicate?
Adam could answer that better, as often as necessary, if you know what I mean. If a call comes in and they need a little bit of help, they'll reach out to Ryan or whoever on our staff. And if we see something that was a glitch or an oops or a heads up, we'll make that call out to the team. But it's easy. It's not a problem. I wanted to make a comment too. You had mentioned about you may not want to turn over all of the phone. And if I share anything I'm not supposed to share, somebody whack me or mute me. But our commercial company, Monument Commercial Building Inspections, we don't have a staff person here in Jacksonville assigned to answer that at all. 100% of our commercial business is handled by the call center. And we also, I guess, Adam, it was 2 or 3 years ago, we stood up a chimney service company. Same thing. We didn't dedicate a staff member to it. It was totally managed by the call center. So, if you're a good customer, meaning you're easy to work with, and it's not an amount of business. It's, if you're a douchebag and you make it really hard for people to work with you, they can't do maybe some of that same flexibility. But we use them just like they were one of us, rather than us assign one individual in-house person. Adam gets it assigned to the team, and we even have separate ISNs for these things. So, and if you're a Next user, it's even simpler for them to integrate and manage those companies for you.
Well, and just on that topic, Next Inspect is incredible. The features are incredible. It's, independent of any reporting software. And we have kind of an advantage, a little bit of an advantage that was a timing-based advantage over most CRMs in this industry. It started 10 years after some of them. So the way that you program things, in the last 3 to 5 years versus the way you would, start programming things and develop an architecture 12 years ago is very different. And what most people tell me when I say, hey, yeah, try out Next Inspect, I personally stand behind it. It'll work in your business very well. One of the first things they tell me after they use it for a week is, okay, that was less painful than I thought it would be. Oh, and by the way, it works about twice as fast on my computer than the last thing that I was using. So make sure to keep that in mind as you move forward. I have someone saying, a new inspector here. My biggest concern with using call center is how my business number gets assigned over to the call center. Do I have to get a whole new number? The answer is no. So we assign a number for you, and it's a local number or an 800 number, doesn't matter. We can do either one. And the customer never sees the numbers we create. Okay. They are only for you, and Adam and Chris work with you on whatever phone system you have. And they've worked with people on every type of phone system to make the rollover happen the way that it should, seamlessly, and with the kind of rules that make sense for your clients and keep them from holding as long. Let's see, we have another one coming in. We set this up on our land. Oh, Bobby Lynn's answering questions for inspectors for me. I love it. Staff is great about calling clients back for me after sending me texts. Great. Okay, that's it for them for right now. I think there was another thing that Tony B is getting as he goes to a rollover with us, even if he has another call center that he loves during the day and wants to continue loving. We have a 24/7 call center service here. So it's as soon as you sign up for our call center, you are open 24/7, and not just some days of the year, and not just not normal business days, every day, including New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. Adam, did we take any calls and book orders on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It
All
was
day long.
it was crazy. And I won't disclose everything here, but I was not expecting the number of orders that we got on Christmas Day this year.
Right.
Nuts. I like, who's calling their inspector to order on Christmas Day? Well, these guys. Let's go on. If there's any other questions, and otherwise we're gonna keep moving, and we have really just one last thing to discuss, and that's the method of integration that we have moving forward with Spectora, as well as we'll be coming out with an integration for home gauge users. So that'll be announced. You'll see that on social media as well. I'm looking at the questions here. There we go. All right, that's it. So I'm going to explain our integration methodology with some of these software platforms, because I went through the list, and 3D's integrated. HIP, Dominic Marison, he's going to come out with his HIP 6. That's going to be fully integrated with Next Inspect. Horizon, of course, Alan Carson's company. HIT, Home Inspection Technology, 3D. The list goes on and on. Spectacular. Don't want to forget them. They were one of the first to jump on the Next Inspect bandwagon. Thank you, guys. We're going to have everybody integrated on some level, but there have been 2, and really 1.5, that have not integrated with Next Inspect historically. And I say 1.5 because Home Gauge isn't integrated on one side, but on the other side, on the Home Hub Zone side, or formerly known as Home Hub Zone, fully integrated. But the Home Gauge side is not. Spectora has not been, and they've generally said to clients that, hey, we're not going to do that. It's not a part of our model, or we really want our inspectors to only have the choice of utilizing our office software. Well, and that's fine. I'm sure it's okay software. The integration with all of these other things that the largest inspection companies in the world utilize, that happens at Next Inspect, and it happens the smoothest and the quickest from Next Inspect. And it's just good to have options, especially if you ever, fall out of love with a report software and you want to move around. If you have both of these things in one place, to me, in my opinion, that's something that that can be dangerous. So what we did was we had an integration with them, and we have an integration with them on ISG services and products, but not this Next Inspect piece. But lately they said, hey, it's up to us. We can log in. That we have the option to log in to Spectora as you, the client, and make that happen. So here's the way the integration is going to work for now. We're working on some automation to this. But basically, you take your Spectora username and password, you pass it on to your call center manager. They log in and they strip out all of the customer data points from Spectora. They strip out all of the marketing pieces, all of the automation from what that would normally do, since Next Inspect can handle all of it. And we manually move the required data for creation of a report over as if we are the automated API. Once the report is done and you click submit, it'll automatically go, this part we do have automated already, to your team lead, and then the HTML link from Spectora or HG, as soon as that one is launched as well, goes straight into that Next Inspect account. So as far as you can tell, you're really just using Next Inspect and it's integrated with Spectora. Again, we'll automate some of that. It would be better if we had an API that was, mutually built, but we don't have that for now, and that's fine because we don't make excuses. When we implement and we say we're going to deliver for people, we do, and that's where my nickname for my parking spot came from. So enough of that. That's our announcement on how we will be doing the integration, and we are launching that today. It is live. So if you're on Spectora, we are ready to go. So I have a question. So from Kane Inspection, so there's no integration. Is it up to us to give our information to the call center? Well, I think the Spectora users on the call would agree. You can give a manager account info to your manager here, and they would have to have access to your calls to your system anyhow. So yes, we do it manually. But you wouldn't know the difference between that and an API, and we would still have to have credentials, even if it was just an API of some sort. So you can set up a scheduling person on Spectora, says Chris Cochran. And yes, that's essentially what they have open for us to do. And Adam, tell everybody a little bit about our rollout plan for this integration, because there's going to be a little bit of concern over it, and I don't think there's going to be any hiccups, but you describe it.
Yeah, as far as getting it's sent out manually, it's going to be first thing in the morning, middle of the day, sometime in the afternoon, and then obviously late evening, we'll be pushing that information over. So
Right.
It's going to happen pretty regularly. We're hoping with little hiccups, we'll get it all smoothed out.
All right, perfect. Well, home gauge will be exactly the same. So William McIntosh, you are in luck, and this opens up something for you. And I want to make sure everybody knows this, because there's going to be a much bigger announcement soon with regard to home gauge. The lack of integration there has made it difficult to utilize all sorts of products and services. By us manually overcoming that lack of integration with Next Inspect, it opens up your world to everything. Now you're integrated with everything in the industry at the push of a button. Is that worth me paying 3 additional staff members to work on this project at 4 different time periods during the day? Yes, absolutely. And we'll do it that way forevermore if need be. So hopefully that answers everybody's questions on that one. Wally, I'm going to come back to you because I'm not sure that we were completely done. We had a wonderful conversation, and I'm going to post a link to our conversation about call centers before. I'd like you to talk a little bit about the difference between your relationship with the call center when you started and the size you were then to how it works now with the size and the enterprise that you have today.
Well, I think 2 things happened in that journey, to be honest. I think Adam and the team continued to refine and get better and better and better, which is honest to say. And I think we became better customers, very candidly, when it became rather than oh, you did this imperfect today, what about this, what about that, where the only feedback If the only feedback provided to the call center is negative, you're not getting any better. You're not making them better, and you're not getting better as a company. But when problem solving became collaborative, we just got stronger. And very candidly, it's put us in a position we can scale at will with no capital investment. It's just made things better. So if we suddenly bring on 3 more inspectors and we need another staff member, we don't need to figure out how to train them, how to ramp it up. That's Adam's problem. It's not my problem. And they have enough cushion and a buffer to absorb that instantly. Likewise, when we bring on another person, we just may roll over a little bit less. So the economics of it is really, really flexible. Same with COVID. If the whole staff had COVID simultaneously, our staff, we wouldn't miss a beat. And I think you've got enough diversity and people spread out enough in Carmel and other locations. You don't have that vulnerability as a Floridian if a storm comes through, or somebody's got to take a day off to take care of their mom. All of these things that are vulnerabilities to those of us with small businesses, and many of the businesses are even smaller than mine, you relinquish those vulnerabilities. You have a backstop to take care of these things.
I have a couple of folks that I'm going to come back to. Chris Cochran, we're going to come back to you real quick, and then I'm going to come to Dave. And I would really like to get some clarification from you, Dave. So if any of that background noise could be reduced, or I'm happy to deal with the background noise because your question might be really good. I'm not sure I understand it fully. Chris, to you.
Yeah, so one of the good things about, and I kind of get where you're going now with the being able to schedule through, and that's, Spectora enables you to create whoever you want to have another account to log in to schedule or do whatever the functions you give them. You can give them as much power, as little power as you want. But they do have, the way that it works is you can make it so that a inspection can be scheduled and then just kind of left there until it's confirmed. So everything can be set, everything can be done. And then if the inspector, if you're a solo inspector, or if you have a team, they can go in and confirm the inspection once they're good with what was scheduled. And so that's a great function to be able to just kind of, if you're a little OCD like me, and you want to just have one last look to make sure that scheduled inspection is good to go, it enables you to do that.
And I appreciate that. And I'm not, I want to be clear, crystal clear on this. I'm not making any allegations or accusations at all. I just find it, the way that we're doing it and the way that we're keeping your schedule somewhere that, honestly is a really robust system. There's only been one, maybe two in the history of this industry that have spent $1.5 million on a CRM for home inspection companies. And definitely only one that's like hardly ever charged any money for it. Like it starts at $1 per inspection. The idea that a company would say, hey, we will only operate with you, we will only do business with you if we not only serve our primary core purpose of reporting software, but also if we own 100% of your business records. That's, just some natural concerns come from that. I'm not saying that they're real. I'm not saying that they're founded. I'm just saying, it is a cause for concern. At the very least, I would say to anybody that listens to this, sign up for a Next Inspect account and email me. Email nathan@nathan.tv and say, I'm signing up with this only for the purpose of having a backup of all my business records. And you can keep a duplicate copy. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what you use, don't use, doesn't matter. I'll do that for you and I'll host it for free until you actually use it. So there you go. At least have that backup because, what's the purpose? It does kind of rub inspectors the wrong way for a reason. Dave, I'm coming to you and maybe you don't like that. We'll see what kind of background noise you have. Maybe it's fun background noise for the rest of us, entertaining stuff. I sent a request to unmute, and if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Just let me know. or don't let me know. He's probably got too much background noise to hear me asking. But he has something that was interesting. Maybe between the three of us gents here, we can figure out what he meant. He said, will they go through training then to know how to schedule it right away? I can assume a lot of us might be nervous giving up control of the way we do things. And I think what Dave was talking about, and I can't get him to the microphone, was, are they going to be trained on Spectora or trained on Home Gauge? And the answer is no. They're already trained on Next Inspect. They do all their operations in Next Inspect, and then we have a staff member that specializes in doing nothing but translating Next Inspect to your software program. And we also have some staff members that are working on some automation for that. So it shouldn't be any real issue at the end of the day. All right. So
Nathan, let me
Yeah.
share something else, if I may, about the call center having right answers. And it's probs to Adam, really. My company, we're a full ISG medley of products used with all the warranties and all that good stuff, as well as Priority Lab. Adam's people can speak to the warranties and the guarantees and all those things better than our own staff. They also do a better job of handing a person off who's calling about a warranty claim, because they know each other. They have those relationships. So the nuance of what makes our business special is more special in my own brain than it actually is in reality. And the sooner I was able to let go of, yeah, but my business is different, or yeah, but they don't understand there's 7 bridges in Jacksonville, the better off we were. And we just let them systemize and build it in the process that helped them serve us better. And it also helped us to serve ourselves better.
Yep. And I just got a note from a Spectora user. So basically, you're just paying someone to do all of this double data entry that I'm already doing. And yes, that's exactly what we do. So that's it for today, folks. I'm going to cut it short now, and I'm going to post this along with, if you're watching this on YouTube, a link to a discussion between Wally and I. You should check it out, and you should make it so that your business is infinitely scalable. And if you have just you, have a rollover. Take yourself off of the phones every once in a while. It's quite relaxing. If you have 2 to 5 guys, have one office staffer. If you have more than one, you're going to go into negative profitability at some point. And we can make it so that you have scalability without having to hire multiple staff for a lot of dead times with 2 to 5 inspectors. After you get beyond 5 and you go up to 5 to 10, 10 to 20, we shouldn't be taking all of your calls. You should be then developing a staff that takes about half of them and, has that personal touch. We don't want to lose all of it. And once you go over 20, and this is a hell of an admission, Wally, but for our inspectors that have more than 20 inspectors, they start going down in percentage. So they go up to 50 as they go through 10, 15 inspectors. And then as soon as they get over 20, they start going down to in the 20 to 25% rate range of number of inspections that they send to us, because then they've by then they've created the volume that they need more people through this up and down, and they have more consistent amounts of calls every single day in their business. So if that's where you go, great. If you want to be a single man operation that gets their weekends back, we're happy to do that for you too. I'm Nathan Thornberry, and you're welcome to email me personally, nathan@nathan.tv. See ya.